and they cut his hair.
This YouTuber mom played the victim during the interrogation, claiming she was abused by her husband. However, shocking revelations showed she wasn't innocent at all. She was the murderer of her tattoo artist husband, Ernie Ibarra. The secrets behind this story are truly shocking. During the investigation, Samantha said something that made the investigator suspicious. As the police dug deeper, they uncovered evidence that changed everything. Samantha wasn't a victim, but the actual murderer. What did she say that made the investigators suspicious? What evidence did the police find that confirmed Samantha's involvement in the crime? Clues led the investigators to unravel the story, painting a clearer picture of what truly happened that fateful night. How did it all begin? It all started on a seemingly ordinary day in 2015 when Samantha called her mother in a state of distress. She claimed that 3 masked men invaded her house, tied her up, and kidnapped her husband after a brutal attack. The police rushed to help, believing her heartbreaking story of victimhood. Later that day, Ernie's lifeless body was found in a remote wood, and he had been shot. Police had unanswered questions, such as why Samantha called her mother instead of dialing 911 when she was tied up and gagged. It would have been easier to call 911 instead of searching for her mother's number.
My mother was the first number on my call list. I just used my face. And
so instead of calling 911 for help, you called your mother?
How do you press 911 with your face?
Well, how did you dial your mother with your face?
I didn't dial my mother. I just pushed the first thing that was on there. It had just happened to be my mom.
Well, I think you know exactly who did this. I think the story's made up about your daddy, his daddy, and stuff like that. And I think you know exactly who did this, and I think you're scared.
When law enforcement checked the house, they did not notice any blood for someone who had been pistol whipped.
I'm not really seeing a whole lot of blood, though, for somebody that was pistol whipped.
The scene's not really making sense of what she's telling me.
No.
Throughout the entire time, the 5 kids were asleep. Also, she was tied with a fragile ribbon. Before the interrogation started, Samantha took a nap in the interrogation room, lying down on the floor and relaxing. This was suspicious to the investigators. You can't be that relaxed when you've just gone through a tragic home intruder situation and your husband was kidnapped in the middle of the night. From the start of the investigation, Samantha kept blaming Ernie's father for everything, even though the investigator never asked about him. She mentioned Ernie's father occasionally, but the investigator sensed she was hiding something and not being truthful.
Did you hear him say anything else besides what you told us?
They said that it was because of his dad.
Because of his dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
They said his dad knocked on someone and got their man thrown behind bars. And now they were taking revenge and taking someone from him.
His dad has a problem with getting involved in things that he don't need to be getting involved with.
Such as?
Drugs.
When you were in the room, what were they talking about? What were they saying?
Mostly just,
Your dad caused this. Keep this in mind. Your dad caused this.
the only thing I can think of is his dad screwed somebody around and they were trying to get back at him.
During the interrogation, Samantha tried to make it seem like she didn't witness or hear much while in the house. She was careful not to say too much, fearing she might make mistakes or her statements would contradict the police's findings, causing inconsistencies in her story. She used phrases like, "I faced the ground and did not see. They had the flashlight in my eyes. I could not see anything. They were just yelling and they took me upstairs and I did not hear anything." When asked if she heard a vehicle or knew how they kidnapped her husband, she replied, "I did not hear a vehicle and I don't know how they kidnapped my husband."
And there was a bunch more yelling and cussing, and I couldn't understand any of it. Once they took me upstairs, I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Did you hear a vehicle?
I didn't hear a vehicle. I didn't see a vehicle. I thought they would steal his truck, and then I would be able to get it tracked that way, because I never saw a vehicle at all. So I don't know if they were close by, or if they just parked a few roads over and carried him there. I don't know.
Samantha's anxiety escalated, and her hand visibly shook as the police pressed her to tell the truth and accused her of withholding information. Her story started to change, and there is a saying that says the rope of a lie is short. When you tell the truth does not change. In a desperate attempt to divert attention, Samantha pointed the finger at Jonathan Sanford, one of the men already on the police radar. She claimed they met at a hospital, and he was outraged by her husband's alleged abusive behavior.
The only other thing.
Okay, see, I knew. You know, Sam, you know I'm not here lying to you. You know I know.
The only other thing I know, and I don't even know if I know,
Okay.
but it's a suspicion.
Okay,
I've been up at the hospital with my friend Charlotte,
okay,
and she's got a guy there, and I swear to God I cannot go up there that I said any of this.
okay.
Because they have a lot of friends around here, and my life will be in a lot of danger.
Okay.
I have a problem with talking to my friends about our problem.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets to talking about how a man shouldn't treat a woman that way and how you don't do those things to a person.
Okay.
And he's going to deal with the situation. I
Okay.
didn't take him seriously.
Okay, you see, Sam, you know who did this. Okay, who is this
got-
guy?
His name's John.
John who?
His Facebook is Rebel, John Rebel.
The detective was aware that Samantha had a role in the kidnapping, but he wanted to gather more information from her, so he used a clever tactic.
See, look me in the face. I need to know the truth. Did you have anything to do with Ernie's disappearance?
No. And I
Did you have anything to do with his death?
No. Dead. He's dead?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yes, if he is dead, no.
Do you think he's alive?
I hope so.
Did you have anything to do with it?
No.
You had nothing to do with his
No.
disappearance?
He asked her if she knew about her husband's death. Although the question was meant to be shocking, Samantha calmly replied with a confident no, as if she was already certain of her husband's death. It didn't truly surprise her, but she then began pretending to be shocked after giving her response. During the whole interrogation, instead of providing information that would help the police find the criminals, she kept painting herself as an ideal woman and her husband as an abuser. She displayed narcissistic tendencies and sought to be the center of attention even during an investigation to find the kidnappers of her husband.
When you were in the room, what were they talking about? What were they saying?
Mostly just, your dad caused this. Keep this in mind. Your dad caused this. And then he would throw jabs at him about being a terrible husband or unappreciative of his life. You had a wife that loves you. Look at her face. Isn't she beautiful? Look how much she loves you. Look how much she's crying.
As the investigation deepened, shocking evidence came to light. Messages between Samantha Wohlford and Octavius Rhymes were discovered, exposing their hidden roles in the killing. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, and the truth was far more evil than anyone could have imagined. It turned out that not only was Samantha involved in the crime, but she was also the mastermind behind the horrific plot. Jonathan Sanford and Jose Antonio Ponce were convicted for their involvement in the murder and kidnapping, each receiving a 50-year jail sentence. Octavius Rhymes was sentenced to a staggering 93 years behind bars, while Samantha Wohlford faced the consequences of her deceit with a 99-year prison term. Those who knew Samantha Wohlford said she wanted to be famous, and no matter how many videos she uploaded, she was not getting the fame she was looking for. She did not have a subject to talk about in her videos, so it is possible she did this to get some attention and fame so she could talk about it in her videos. But in the end, the only thing she'd ever be famous for was the kidnapping and murder of her husband. Subscribe for more true crime videos.